And we're back. Welcome back to Retirement Decoded, the podcast. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. I'm here with Senior Associate Advisor
Max Rand. Hey, folks.
And you can see our voice-activated cameras change back and forth at tuckeryoutube.com. It really is worth the price of admission, which is free.
21st century, folks.
24th century?
21st.
Oh, 21st century.
Yeah.
They had a skit on, I'm not a big Saturday Night Live guy, and right now they're a little bit too political, a little bit less funny.
Yeah, major double down on that one. Yeah.
Well, it was better, and maybe everything's changed since like the late 80s. The FCC changed the rules and broadcasting. I think it was the late 80s. They used to have this whole equal time thing. If you criticized a Republican, you have to criticize a Democrat, and everything had to be equal. And that was a little over rigid. And then they got rid of it completely, where now SNL is all one side and not the other. And there's other things like Fox News probably could be better if it was a little bit less over the top in another direction. Because if we face facts, and I lean one way more than the other, but as most people do, not everybody's right up the middle. But if we're a little bit more balanced, usually the news product's a little better. Like Max, you and I are both fans of like the BBC news channel, I think.
Yeah.
Or France 24.
Yeah. Well,
or
you're
DW.
Joking about it, but it's true. The
European.
Definitely have found the news in Europe is a lot more unbiased and talks about it in a neutral lens. So
one thing about the European media, though, is they have, and we'll get to Laura and Glenview has a question here. We'll get to in a minute. One thing about Laura and Glenview. One thing about the European media is they're kind of the way the U.S. media used to be, where everything would be so balanced that there's nothing beyond the fringes, which could be cut both ways. But the other thing I've noticed, Natalie and I some years ago, maybe 5 years ago, we went to Czech Republic, and I was on the treadmill in the gym just walking, and I wanted to look up some news from the U.S., and some U.S. news sites were blocked in Czech Republic because they would be like, well, that's not agreeable, and that's not agreeable. Like they were censoring what the people in Czech Republic would say, oh, we're free now, no more Iron Curtain, no more communism. That's all true, but their media is being censored.
Sounds like the UK.
Well, that too. That's another one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it in different places in Europe. Natalie and I do like to try. We don't always get to do it, but about every 2 years we try to find some way to go to Europe and do something and maybe see a country we haven't seen. And I do keep noticing if we go to Europe every couple of years, we keep seeing that there's censorship as far as what you can get on the internet.
Yeah, it's I would love to go to the England, UK, check out London, but it's a little scary what we're seeing coming from that country right now.
Which way?
Well, just with how heavily everything's being censored, and being thrown in jail for putting something on Facebook or calling someone,
they're calling everything hate speech.
Something that may be insensitive. Like if I called you an idiot, I could go to jail for that. It's a little crazy. So I don't understand how their citizens, their people were okay with that.
It's because, Max, they don't own guns.
Yeah, there you go. They don't own guns.
They can actually. I was stationed in Scotland 2 years when I was in the Navy, and I did learn that if you're a farmer, if you have some legitimate purpose, some non-government threatening purpose, you can actually own a shotgun. Was about all they could own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a shotgun, it pretty much does the job for a farm
but
owner,
not but it's not sufficient to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
Which sometimes
you need a little more than that, right?
I'm not espousing that we should overthrow the government. I'm just saying Second Amendment's there for a reason. So there was a time they had a big mass shooting in Australia a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they outright
terrible.
they outright banned guns in Australia. So now the citizenry of Australia, they're to me, if you're just become a serf, you become a subject, and you have no, there's a political way to change things, but it's also easy for a government to go too far in a direction to where it might need to be altered. I sound like a crazy person.
You do.
I sound like Ted Nugent. I was born in Jackson, Michigan, where Ted Nugent is from, actually.
Yeah, it's funny to joke about, but one of my friends, he's from Australia. He actually works for their government. But I was hanging out with him recently, and he's actually looking to move to the United States just with how crazy Australia has been getting as well. So, it's things where their government can implement these ideas, but the nice thing is you can always move away, I suppose. So.
Well, there has to be some place to move to.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So Laura in Glenview, she lives in the Glen. That's a neighborhood. So in Glenview, there used to be a Naval Air Station Glenview, and back during the base closure and realignment thing after the Cold War, Glenview, the Navy decided they didn't need. Well, Congress decided the Navy didn't need the Naval Air Station at Glenview anymore, and so they closed it. And right next door to Glenview is a very affluent northern suburb called Northbrook. So this is kind of a weird thing to explain to folks who don't know the geography here well. The north side of Chicago, there's a suburb called Skokie. Skokie, Illinois, was well known for many, many years of being it was probably like 99% Jewish suburb, Skokie. Well, then folks figured like over time, like the younger generation, which younger generation could be baby boomer, right? But the younger generation figured, well, Northbrook's pretty nice. And you know how they all move all at once?
Yeah.
So it was
Naples,
like
Florida.
It was like the Great Migration from Skokie, Illinois to like Northbrook, Illinois. And it's not they're not even touching, I don't believe. They don't even touch. Like
I don't think they do, no.
Separation there. But it's all these Jewish people from Skokie said, let's go live in Northbrook. And now in Northbrook, I would say it's largely Jewish, but it's probably 50% Jewish. It could be more than that in Northbrook, but it's pretty Jewish, but it's very affluent. And so just south of Northbrook was Glenview, and there was a Naval Air Station there, and it wasn't too terribly noisy. They'd fly a couple of F-18s out of there or whatever, but not really noisy. But that land happened to be very valuable, so when Congress got rid of that Naval Air Station, it was a great opportunity to have not quite a planned community, but sort of a planned community. You had a whole ton of land, and the government was just going to sell it off, and developers bought it up, and the city of Glenview, or Village of Glenview, I think it's Village of Glenview, because there was already housing in Glenview, but the Village of Glenview said, hey, let's be real thoughtful about this, because whatever you build, we're going to be stuck with for a couple hundred years. And it is one of the most beautiful areas now. And in fact, we're teaching one of our workshops at the Glen Center. I think it's called the Glen Center. I keep forgetting what it's called. But they have a community center there. We're teaching that in the next couple of weeks, I think it is. But anyway, that's where Laura lives. She lives in the Glen. So Laura in Glenview, who lives in the Glen, she sounds like a nursery rhyme. She says, Max, what mistakes do recent retirees make in the first year after leaving work? And I'll give you some more background because Nicole prepared this for us at Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc., tuckerretirement.com. So it says, Max, Laura from the Glen neighborhood of Glenview recently retired 6 months ago and says she feels overwhelmed by all the decisions that suddenly landed on in her lap. Sounds like she was busy or maybe procrastinated and she just retired and now she's got to figure it out.
Yeah, probably was having a lot of fun, traveling, spending time on her hobbies, so it's normal. What
I think, we don't have her on the horn to ask her, but when Laura, who lives in the Glen in Glenview, says, what mistakes do recent retirees make in the first year after leaving work? Sounds like she didn't plan before she left work.
Yeah, and that's the thing that cracks me up, Scott, is we see that all the time. I think one of the funniest things I hear is people will sit down with me like, yeah, I retired 2 months ago. I want to start planning for retirement now. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, don't you think this is something we want to look at first before you had retired, right?
We have a lady, I think she saw me on TV. On the weekends, we're on Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 32, Channel 20. We were on Channel 23. So all these channels. And this lady lives about an hour west of us, but we could help her all through. We have folks that we've helped from Fort Lauderdale area that we've never even seen them in person. It's phone call, Zoom, email, FedEx, DocuSign. I mean, the Zooms are like your next door nowadays, right? Or across the table. But we have a lady who's about an hour west of here, and she'll email us something, how she's interested in a topic, and say, oh, yeah, let's get on our phone calendar. Well, no, I'm not retired yet. Oh, no. She goes, I'm not retiring for 5 more years. No. We could give you some little tweaks to make now, painless, that could give you potentially a way. I have to say potentially, or else compliance gets mad. Give you a potentially way better outcome, and you do it now, not 5 years from now. You don't wait till it's like, Max, we should go to Disney World. Hey, can you pull my truck around? Let's go.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Just jump in. Wait, we don't have any tickets. Oh, I don't know.
We'll just figure it out.
We have a GPS, so I'm just going to punch in Orlando, and then we get close down there. We'll punch in Disney World.
Sounds like a good plan.
And then where are we going to stay, Max?
Oh, we'll stay in the car, I guess.
Wait, do we have any cash in our checking?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We gonna eat somewhere? Where are we gonna stop along the way? Should we have flown?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Should we? Let's no, just pull the car up. As soon as we're done with this episode, let's pull the car up.
Going to Disney World, folks.
They get won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But, this is the type of stuff that we see every day. So these are great questions. I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of folks make is they retire and they start Social Security right away.
Oh,
they take a lump sum option, or they'll turn on their pension right away rather than exploring taking a lump sum, and instead seeing if you can make that a tax-free income stream. Rather it getting taxed forever. It's all these little things you want to measure twice, before you cut once.
And Laura, the notes I have from Nicole also say that Laura, she was overwhelmed by all the decisions that suddenly fell on her lap, including Medicare, investments, taxes, spending, Social Security, and estate planning. Other than that, Max, she hasn't nailed.
Yeah, you got it.
That's 6 things.
Yeah.
Medicare, investment, taxes, spending, Social Security, and estate
whole
planning.
Shebang, pretty much.
There's probably something we forgot, right?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty common. What Laura is talking about is often what we see people walk into our office wanting help with. They're retiring and they're finding out there's a lot more to financial planning than just investment. Picking investments and growing your money. So this is pretty common. This is kind of what we're seeing every day, and don't feel bad, folks. They're not teaching you this stuff in school. I don't remember ever seeing sitting down learning about Social Security and Medicare and how I can mitigate taxes. Right? So it's not your fault.
Something else, Max, that comes to mind. So there's a lot of things coming to mind in this. So she waited till, and I'm not faulting you, Laura. It's just, some people are so busy with their job, they feel like they don't have the time to plan. Or you're sometimes taking better care of your employer, and instead of taking half day off to go see your financial planner. There's also a thing, the financial entertainment industrial complex. So like the CNBC, the Jim Cramer, all this stuff. What's really entertaining is to watch somebody talk about the hot stocks and do all this. And what could be boring is to talk about your Medicare. It can be really sexy to talk about your investments. What could be really boring is for us to show you ways to build hedging strategies to protect you from a downturn. Something that could be both exciting and boring would be, what if we could say you had $1 million tax deferred, like IRA, 401k. What if we potentially saved you $500,000 in unnecessary federal income tax over your lifetime? That's really exciting. The boring part might be when we explain a couple things. We have to explain a certain amount so you understand what we would be recommending. That might be boring, but again, $500,000 found money, kind of exciting. And the other, your spending. People all the time, Max. People come see us, or they get on the phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com, or they get on the Zoom. Or they get on the, what else they do? Get on the Zoom, or they come, we have a workshop locally, or we're on TV or radio. They come see us at some point. They are all the time, we say, well, how much do you spend each month? They are always trying to lowball it.
Yeah, every single time.
Yeah, nobody highballs it. Nobody highballs it, right?
Yeah.
They always lowball it, and they think that we're trying to put them on a financial diet.
Yeah, and if you guys don't understand this, so if you understate your expenses by even $500 a month, I think 1,000 is pretty common. Anytime I'm working with somebody, I always overflate their expenses when we do planning by an extra 500 or 1,000. But if you're doing that incorrectly, then you may not be able to retire down what you have. It's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, figuring that number out.
Well, the best, I've had folks underreport their spending by $6,000 a month, and they're like, "What do you mean?" No, I'm not. I didn't spend that much.
Yeah, it's great when you sit down with someone and they don't have any savings, any assets, and they're making a ton. Like, where's the money going?
Well, we typically don't work with those people, Max.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to be a bazillionaire. Generally, for us to be able to help you, you have to be somewhere around a minimum of $250,000 saved for retirement. I would say our bread and butter is more like $1 million to $3 million, and we have quite a few folks that are up around $5 million. We do find folks above $5 million are hard to get excited about anything. Because when you get up above 5 million, it's about wants versus needs. So somebody has 2 million, they need to do some planning. Somebody has 4 million, they could afford more to mess it up. Above, maybe they have 6 million, they could really afford to mess it up. So people are a little looser with it the more money they have because they're less fearful. And that's okay. I'm glad they're less fearful. But we have planning software we use, Max, and we can use it on the Zoom. We can do it over the phone, but we use it on the Zoom, so we show you. We use it in the office. And we've had folks say, well, the gross income is this. And they try to tell me the take home. Like, don't tell me the take home. I know the take home because we have financial planning software. We need gross numbers. What your income is that you're actually paid before they steal from you. Okay. So we put in the gross number, and it's going to figure out, married, single, and it's going to figure out what the net income is. Our software is going to take out your contributions in your 401k, those sorts of things. It's going to figure all of that stuff out. So you don't have to figure it out. We're just going to figure out what the inflation's been the last 100 years. And then I ask you, how much do you spend a month, the two of you? $5,000, which in Chicago, and $5,000 for a couple. You can do it. You got to be tight. It's not that much money after tax. It's, I don't know. It just doesn't go. It doesn't. $5,000 isn't what it used to.
Sound like an old person now.
And when I was a kid, so if we punch in the 5,000 and we go to this other tab, we have the software. We go to this either pre-retirement or retirement tab. If we see that you have like $5,000 a month left over, say, oh, great. So right here it shows that you're accumulating $5,000 per month in savings. So your savings just keeps building up, and you got to keep shoveling it out into some investments or something. They go, wait, I don't have $5,000 left over every month. I told you I spend $5,000 and I don't have anything left over every month. Well, the software says you ought to have $5,000 left over. So that really tells us, this is the way we back into the expenses, so you don't have to go look up all your bank statements and drive yourself crazy. What that really tells us, if you say you spend $5,000 and you don't have $5,000 left over, it really tells us you're really spending $10,000 a month, which is not uncommon in Chicagoland for a couple to be spending $10,000 a month. That's not uncommon at all. Even folks that have saved a lot of money, even folks that are careful with their money, spending $10,000 a month is not that hard here.
Yep.
So, but that's a way. So when Laura in Glenview lives in the Glen, when she said she was concerned about, she didn't do any planning about her spending until after she retired. That's why we want to do that before you retire, so we make sure you can stay retired. We don't want to send somebody, she didn't say her age, I don't think. We don't want to take you 65 years of age and send you back to work.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that too. I mean, trying to find a job.
It's hard to it's hard to tell your boss that you don't think they're an a-hole and you want your job back.
Yeah. Hey, can I have that job back, please?
You can't unring that bell.
Yep.
You're like, you know what? And another thing. And then you come back a week later. Okay, hold on. I have an apology to me.
And I mean, what we're talking about is stuff that we see every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And as a financial advisor, I got into this career because my family, we went through a really tough time financially during 07, 08. And, just if we're able to, anyone listening to this, if we're able to help you a little bit, avoid some of this stuff, that's why we're doing it. So,
and she also had a concern about everything, but Social Security. What most people do is they want their paycheck to stop one day and then Social Security to start the next. And for most people, that's a big mistake. We have a lot of people nowadays. We have people retiring at 55 now and then trying to file Social Security at 62, even with a life expectancy of 92.
Yep. And folks, I mean, one of the biggest, things I hear, I'm like, okay, why did we take Social Security at 62? And they're like, well, I want to get the money I paid into it. If I died next year, I want to get that money, or it's going to run out. Folks, they've been saying Social Security is going to be running out since the 80s, okay? And they keep raising it. I mean, you got to think about who's voting. It's a majority of the, people with more life experience. They're not going to vote for politicians and stand for legislation that's going to just cut it completely. So
they said that Social Security was going to run out of money back in 83, and Ronald Reagan was president. He invited Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill over to the White House. They had a scotch or a bourbon or something. They shook hands. You remember when people used to compromise? And they just made a deal. They made up to 50% of your Social Security federally taxable for certain people. They changed the full retirement age for younger people to older, to later on. Made a few changes like that. They can also change the FICA Social Security tax rate, both for the employee and the employer. They can change, of course, that would change the self-employed Social Security FICA rate, self-employment tax. There's so many levers they can pull. And one lever they already do pull is they monkey with the COLA, the cost of living allowance. They subtract the cost of food and energy from it. So there's all these levers they can pull so that Social Security doesn't run out. Then in 93, when President Clinton was in office, and this is before Newt did the whole Contract with America thing, but President Clinton, when he was in, they did another change to Social Security where they made up to 85% of your Social Security federally taxable for certain people, certain higher income people. Which, by the way, there are ways for about 90% of people listening or watching the podcast right now at tuckeryoutube.com to make all of your Social Security free from federal income tax. That's true for about 90% of you. There's about 10% of you where you have a large monthly pension that's going to be federally taxable. That'll make it to where at least some of your Social Security has to be federally taxable. So, and then your estate planning. If you can just keep alive and kicking for a while, Laura, let's focus on the estate planning a little bit later. Right off the bat, investments, we need to hedge your bets so you don't lose your keister in the next market crash. Next thing we do is we look at the tax planning. Can we potentially cut in half your lifetime income taxes to the IRS? That's the tax planning. After that, then the estate planning. Let's get your house in order. A will does not avoid probate. A will guarantees probate. A trust avoids probate. And AARP has said that a trust-centered estate plan is less expensive over the entirety of your life and your estate than a will-centered estate plan. Plus, you gain privacy, a whole bunch of things. You gain privacy and also the back-end expense, the timeliness. That's what I was looking for, the timeliness after you're gone. There is no 14-month probate like there is in Cook County right now. And you can have this in a will or in a trust, but I would in a trust recommend that you talk to your attorney, because I'm not one, an interim clause in your trust so that if anybody contests the trust, they're immediately removed as a beneficiary from the trust. One other thing, let's say Laura has $3 million. She leaves 3 kids $1 million each. If I can go to the county courthouse and I can pull that probate file is public. If you don't have a trust, it's public. And then if I'm a shyster, I could go after each of your 3 kids that I know they just got $1 million, try to sell them a Lamborghini, try to get them to, whatever would happen bad to people who everybody knew they had $1 million. I could go ask them to borrow $500,000, all kinds of stuff you don't want happening with a kid who just inherited $1 million. So why don't you, Laura in Glenview or anybody else, just go ahead and click down below in the description, tuckerretirement.com, see our phone calendar, pick a time to get on our phone calendar. We'll spend 15 minutes for free with you over the telephone and get your questions answered and your answers questioned. Or you can just type in your browser address bar, tuckerretirement.com, and we'll get it taken care of. Well, thanks for spending 23 minutes or so with us on this morning's episode. Remember, it's always available video style over at YouTube, tuckeryoutube.com. We'll talk to you in the next episode.